What has a tranquilizing effect? Carbohydrates, yeah, because energy level boosts up, right? Carbohydrates are very easy to digest, so it goes directly into your bloodstream, you feel energetic. And obviously the physical energy translates into action, so you feel better. And that's why the whole need for glucose and sweets and sugary things. Alright, any other questions? Alright, thank you so much. But there could be other reasons as well, so it's not a direct correlation there. We'll have to examine the other things as well. And you're aloof, it is possible that there is a high tendency to have sweets. But there are multiple reasons for it. One is, the craving for sweets. Sometimes if it's purely a physiological symptom, it's just because glucose levels are low. You crave for it, and normally your diet is such and your work style is such that glucose level tends to dip. Probably you tend to have a very low carb diet. That's when you crave for sweets. So that can be a simple dietary correction which can correct the pattern. So examining your diet certainly helps. If you're talking of craving for sweets to an extent where the body actually stores it and you become diabetic, that normally happens when, yes, there is an aloofness, because diabetes, and of course the physical idea of insulin and all of that is fine, but it is caused mainly because of a lot of suppressed emotion. You feel that there is lack of sweetness in your life because of either grudges that have not been expressed or too many regrets that you're living with. So you find life is bitter, and therefore to compensate for it, the body tries to store sweetness. So there is a psychosomatic cause to it. So normally if you're not expressed, self-abuse is more common in the poor me. Whereas an intimidator, see what happens with aloof and poor me, they want to be with people, they'll try their best to be with people, but if the acceptance is not forthcoming, then they withdraw. Whereas with these guys, they're naturally okay with being in a crowd, they are normally very good orators, and they're normally very intelligent debaters. They will, because the questioning skill will come in only when you can analyze something, right? So normally these two categories, they will, even if they have to be violent, it will be expressed externally, not internally. So the chance of self-abuse is lower. In a poor me, the chance of self-abuse is very high. Not necessarily. Craving for sweets is again a totally different psychosomatic thing. Normally you would...
Many people they crave for sweets. Why when their child was small, they did not receive a lot. Because of that, it's craving for sweets.
So that normally comes from a state of being aloof.
This kind of self-abuse can happen because of frustration.
Self?
When you say violent, you be self-violent person, you could go in a
possible. Possible, but you'll find the person wandering to another place. Let me get a drink. Then it's very possible that he comes from the aloof state, where he or she will say and ask a lot about you, but the moment you question that person, no answers. Or then you... Okay, you're talking of someone who's extra nice to you, or... Okay. See, in that case, it doesn't have to be a control drama at all. It's just a social interaction. The person may not be stressed enough. The person genuinely doesn't care, but then of course because it's a party you're expected to talk, so you're being nice to people. And the person may very well be in a state of awareness and do that. If the person is not in a state of awareness and being good to you because it is necessary, the whole pseudo part of it. Sorry? The whole attempt is to get over the stress, but then the problem is it's not a productive method. Because what's happening is You're seeking attention but at the same time pushing people away through any of these control dramas. So not very productive, and that's why it is essential to be aware of how you're enacting it. What is your control drama and how can you shift it around? Yeah, they are negative in the sense these are states caused because patterns emerge when you're stressed. Otherwise, naturally we're not supposed to have any patterns. I mean, the very fact that you're getting into a drama indicates that you're not
Could be a method of getting over something. You're stuck with a problem and you're
it's not if you're in an aloof state and you come across someone who's aloof, you say go to hell. You know, I'm not going to talk. So it depends on what state you're in. Help. Whereas if you're not feeling stress, it's possible that we are dealing with it in what you might call the adult state of transactional analysis, where let's say if you're in an adult state and you come in contact with somebody who's aloof, you will recognize that yes, he or she is being aloof. I think I can help. If you're not in control or we feel things are not all right, we feel stressed. So these are patterns that we slip into when we are in states when we are not in balance. Right? Because the physical body is sort of habituated to that action of taking it out of the pocket and lighting it and this thing. But normally, why would you smoke? You're smoking because there is a sense of warmth which is missing in the heart. You're feeling emotionally cold, or you're feeling that there aren't enough people who care for you. And that's where the need for smoke comes into play. Similarly with alcohol, you're feeling a sense of intellectual and spiritual disconnect, which is where the alcohol tends to get you into that space of being high, which is what you're looking for. So it's never a physical symptom. Yeah, I mean, the physical body tends to get into a habit. It's like saying, yeah, I brush my teeth every day. You know, that's a habit. It's as similar as that. So physically, it's not a difficult pattern to break. It's the emotional pattern which needs to be addressed. Sorry?
it's negative.
Yeah, because we're talking of a controlled drama in the sense that we're talking, he was, when he was in the drunken state, he was an intimidator because there was a sense of fearlessness induced by the alcohol which let him express. When he was not drunk, people made fun of him because of whatever he did in the drunken state. So in either case, he was not being listened to. So if you're able to tell the person that, all right, this is what you did when you were drunk, but it's not helping us. Mm-hmm. So it helps to have a dialogue. What happens is normally the social conditioning is such that we tend to make fun of the person, and that's where it worsens. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Emotions one. No, in any case, see, any kind of an addiction is always an emotional pattern. It can't be physical. See, if you look at smokers, for example, the whole idea of smoking is not because the body wants it. I mean, your mind thinks the body wants it. Okay. Okay. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. Violent. Okay. Mm-hmm. 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 Expression. Yeah. Mm-hmm. 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 Okay. Yeah. See, here he is talking of a pattern where alcohol causes intimidation to arise. Now, obviously, if alcohol is causing the pattern to arise, then it is a pattern which is very much there. It's latently in place. Yeah, because you see, the pattern has to be there inside for it to emerge. It's dormant, right? Yeah. See, because in any case, he was not getting support, right? So boycotting in the long run doesn't really help. They definitely need attention. I mean, they definitely need rehabilitation. All of these patterns, it's just that, of course, the way of expression is different, so we don't bother categorizing it.
No, but how does boycotting them affect their psyche?
See, ideally they need very active corrective measures, because the more you boycott, the more they want to be heard. Right? And they don't find that people are listening to them through normal communication, and that's why they have to cause that blast. A lot of domesticated animals also follow. It's just that the expression of timidity comes through violence, which is unfortunate.
But you see, very people in the animal world, if you look at a dog, and if you show that scared, immediately you bounce. But if you enjoy it,
Yeah.
you are more than message.
Yes.
If you meet another intimidator, who is more than
Yeah.
immediately they get
Yeah, because then it's friends, right?
another than ordinary.
Yeah.
Very much.
Oh, it's more like poison killing poison kind of a thing which happens. See, because the whole idea of intimidator, if you look at the root word by itself, is timid. They're by nature timid.
The society has to,
I'm sorry?
the society has to blame.
Yes, in the sense, blame in the sense, I mean, it was just a situation that the person was in. Yes, there was probably, definitely a perpetrator against the person. That's almost destructive in nature. Right? So, yeah, it's not something that is easy to deal with at all. Needs a lot of help. Something which is very fantastic, very something like doesn't know how to connect, and therefore the only way of expression is something. This person, if even an aloof person can come from a background of suppression, but then this person wants to connect but can't. This person, if even an aloof person can come from a background of suppression, but then this person wants to connect but can't because see, why is it that you become an intimidator and not aloof? Because they're absolutely not in control here. So this definitely is something that can't be ignored and best left to be dealt with either by the criminal justice system or by psychiatrists, not because it can be physically dangerous to be here.
Mentally also they could be scheming a bit.
Oh yes, they normally tend to plot and plan because
Mental. They are mostly mental.
yeah, they're normally intelligent and mental. Mental in the sense that a lot of scheming happens. Before they do anything, there will be a lot of mental reasoning. You can't do anything about it because the person is absolute. So this is not that can be ignored. So yes, it's possible that you have been subjected to a huge sense of oppression in any which way. Either emotionally there has been no support, or you've gone through experiences in childhood which have been violent. Like you've seen, maybe you've grown up in an area where there was war or terrorist activity or unpleasant, abusive experiences in childhood. All of those can cause this particular pattern. And sometimes you may find that an intimidator can very easily hide the expression of that pattern. It will burst. It's not that the person is always shouting and screaming, but it comes up in spurts and then balance here. The neurological corrections need to be made medically. Some kind of patterns, not something that you would find in a regular social context. If you do find it is very, very important that the person needs psychiatric help, not just psychological help, because there is a lot which is there is a whole lot of chemicals if there is too much of suppression. So not a very common pattern with youngsters, but yes, it normally develops in adulthood and then it can scale up. So yeah, it's one of those very criminal, all of that. If you look at children, this is not a very common pattern. It's a pattern which develops over the years, out and scream, and someone who just can't connect emotionally to people, and therefore, and of course, because it's a natural human tendency, you do want to connect, but then you realize you can't connect because you don't know how to. This person's been never taught how to connect, and therefore the only expression that comes is sheer violence. So someone who's very likely to shout, emotionally barren. Yeah. Normally you would find very criminal tendencies in these kind of people, because the need for expressing through violence is very high. This is the kind of a person, the pattern develops because he or she has been extremely suppressed in some way. Either there has been no parental support, or the education system or the social family system has been such that he or she has not been given any kind of emotional or physical support. That's something that normally leads to this kind of a pattern. Normally someone who's in physical and non-physical sense, so even the communication will be very violent. Even if he or she is talking, it's likely to be extremely abusive, a lot of swear words, a lot of, you feel attacked even when you're talking to that person. Definitely needs a lot of help